All right, yeah. There's a change with the lighting today. So, most of you guys who are anime fans or anime lovers must have watched this anime called as Kimetsu no Yaiba, also called as Demon Slayer. And it is one of the best animes for me that I've watched. And I've watched a good amount of them. I think I've watched around 5 to 6 animes completely. And Kimetsu no Yaiba stands out because particularly of the animation, the way it is presented, and at the same time, the life experiences that Demon Slayer gives to each and every single one of the viewer. It helps them to be, kind of. The anime in itself is very, very relatable because it shows the title, not the title, the character, the protagonist, kind of being, raised along from the mud to stardom, as I would say, in this world, to become a Hashira. And I'm eagerly waiting for the Infinity Castle movie to come on. But right now, the reason for making this video was I thought there were certain life lessons that we can take from Kimetsu no Yaiba, or from generally any anime, but I'm going to be talking about Kimetsu no Yaiba in particular, that we can integrate it into our competitive exam prep, because they are the most ideal, fundamental and basic aspects of the mental side required for you to crack any exam. Now, you're particularly watching this because you are going to be you're probably preparing for JEE, NEET or some other exam like that. So, and at the same time, I also started reading this book. This book is called as Ikigai, and man, this is an amazing book. This is an amazing read, and I would kind of suggest this book to people who are watching this video, because moreover, it is not really a motivation kind of book. It gives you a purpose. It defines purpose to you, and it shows you how Japanese people, they're able to really kind of preserve their culture, and at the same time it shows the highlights of Japanese culture, why people in Japan are able to live over the age of 100. So I've given you a basic idea of what today's video is going to kind of have in terms of content. So let's get into it. I'm going to be explaining some certain instances from the anime and certain kind of phrases from the book which were really, really helpful, and this is a must watch if you're preparing for any kind of competitive exam. So number one, if you've watched Demon Slayer, you know about the final selection arc. You know about how Tanjiro Kamada survives the 7 days in the final selection arc in the forest filled with demons, and especially the one with the face, the hand demon, the weird demon who's really huge, who taunts Tanjiro by saying he had already eaten Master Urokodaki's previous pupils who had come for the final selection arc. Now, what is the lesson that we can take from this particular instance? So, let us say you fail a test or you are falling behind your syllabus. Doesn't mean you stop your preparation. You're going to face that problem. Tanjiro, he wasn't really expecting something like, the huge weird ass demon to come and attack him. And probably you can say from his perspective, his syllabus wasn't done. His idea of being able to slay demons wasn't done, but he was ready to face it. The first thing that you need to take away from this particular instance is that you need to face your problems even though you are not equipped, because you learn from them. Every opportunity in life that you call as a failure should be renamed as a stepping stone towards learning, as a stepping stone towards success, because you learn from that, you gain experience from that, and experience is kind of really, really vital. So that is something that kind of attracted me towards the anime. And there is also a psychological angle which we can take from the book Ikigai. Now, there's this very famous psychologist, I'm going to say his first name, Mihaly, who wrote the book Flow, right? It is given in the book as well here. And he has this very amazing perspective where he says the best moment in our lives are not the passive, relaxing times, but when our body is stretched to its limits to a voluntary effort. So just like Tanjiro, he was not relaxing that time. Definitely, he was almost going to get his ass eaten by that weird demon. But he tried to, kind of expand his limits. He tried to go behind it. He tried to chase it. He tried to slay it. And at the end, he did, just because he was ready. He was open-minded to accept a challenge. So whenever you're failing behind in a test, or whenever you're trying to, kind of work your ass off, but you're not getting, when you're stuck in a situation where you're kind of, in a spot where you are unable to do things because you have not learned them before, use them as an experience gaining session where you can learn things, where you can experience difficulties for the first time in your life, because that is going to be helpful in the future, because you'll be able to adapt to difficult situations, to much more unrelaxing situations better. Now, the second instance is about discipline and routine. We've all seen Tanjiro's routine while he was training under Master Urokodaki. It was a very, very difficult training for him. It was a difficult training regime for him because he had to run up the hill, had to run down the hill, he had to break all these different rocks, he had to, kind of imagine that there were demons in front of him, and he had to train his, kind of his fighting style without facing a demon. Now, that is going to be very, kind of difficult. Even the late great Kobe Bryant, I'm sorry, I said Kobe Bryant. Okay, the late great Kobe Bryant, what he did was he used to shadow practice his basketball moves a lot, because that was more effective, because that sets you up to situations, to unexpected situations, if I'm using the right term. So the training regime, it was about discipline. It was about not just intrinsic motivation. You had to wake up at 5 a.m. every day. He had to wake up at 5 a.m. every day. He had to wake up in the morning. He had to fetch water. He had to help Master Urokodaki with the housework. Then he had to train his ass off to get into the final selection. That is what you need. You need to maintain a disciplined routine. Now, trust me, I've always been the person who's, going behind motivation rather than going behind discipline. But discipline on the long run is much more important. Let us say you're gaining, 2% of, not gaining, or let us say you're improving by 2% every single day. That is better over the long run, right? Let us say a long run of around 6 months. Gaining or improving yourself by 2% or even 1% every day is much more better than, improving yourself by 10% for 5 days and not doing it for the, the rest of the 6 months. That is the false reality of motivation. Motivation is temporary. Discipline is permanent. That's something that, kind of really helped me throughout my JEE prep. That could have helped me throughout my JEE prep. There were instances where I had to, set a disciplined routine, where I was, kind of chasing behind motivation. Now, let us take an Ikigai insight towards this. Our Ikigai. Now, what is Ikigai? Ikigai is finding happiness in everything that you do and finding happiness in keeping yourself busy. Now, our Ikigai is hidden deep inside of each of us, and finding it requires a patient search. You need to be patient enough to understand that discipline on the long run is much better than any form of false motivation. Now, the third thing, this is something that I relate to a lot. And if you're someone whom I know in real life, you'd know this. I was always underconfident. I was always having this kind of self-doubt thoughts where I was like, can I do this? Yanala mudiyuma? Mere se ho sakta hai kya? Things like that. That, kind of fucked me up mentally during my JEE prep, because I was like, okay, I can't do math because I'm not, smart enough. But if I had, kind of, or maybe I don't have any regrets, but there could have been something better that was awaiting for me if I had taken this step, to come out of my comfort shell and, I should have overcome my self-doubt at that point. That would have helped me a lot. So if you're having self-doubt, let us take this instance. Before the final selection hour, Tanjiro was given a task to split the boulder into half. He was having definitely the most weirdest thoughts of self-doubt of, can I do it? Yanala mudiyuma? Can I do it? Can I actually break the boulder into half? He spent a long amount of time to, practicing different ways in which he can break the boulder in half. Then one of the, the spirits, as I would say, of Urokodaki's disciples, they kind of, they helped, if you've seen the anime, you'd know this. They helped Tanjiro Kamado to get through that phase of self-doubt and, kind of go through it and help him break the boulder. It was not the breaking of the boulder which was more significant at that point. The fact that he overcame his self-doubt, the fact that he trusted on his work ethic, that he trusted on the skills that he learned, the fact that he was able to do all of that and combine each and every single effort into a precise move that cut the boulder into half was much more powerful than any form of motivation that he would have had. That was the result of overcoming his self-doubt, and you should do that too. Let us say your weak subject is math. Treat math as if it's your bitch, basically. I'm sorry, but treat math as if it's something that is natural to you. Don't treat it as math, JEE advanced. No, it is a demon in disguise. So you don't need to worry about that. Overcome your self-doubt. You are enough. You have enough IQ. You have enough potential. You have enough resources to overcome those doubts, to overcome this exam called as JEE or NEET or CLAT or etc. So this was one another aspect which I kind of really liked about both Ikigai, which talks about overcoming these what do you say, kind of self-doubt thoughts, and of course Demon Slayer, where you go through Tanjiro's complete character evolvement arc. I would also like to quote or I'd also like to mention the character called as Rengoku Kyojuro, who is one of the Hashiras in the anime. The way he empowered confidence, the way he empowered overcoming self-doubt when he was facing an upper blood moon, that was needed for everyone. That was needed for him, that was needed for Tanjiro, that was needed for Inosuke, and that was needed for the other guy whose name I forgot. And that is needed for each and every single one of us. You are enough, even though the problem might be bigger than you, might be over your potential. You need to try, you need to overcome your self-doubt, because that gives you learning and experience, which we talked about earlier. And the next thing, which is to achieve a flow state, is to adapt and evolve. Now, what is a flow state? Flow state for me, according to Ikigai, is a way or is a state of optimal experience. What is optimal experience? It is a state where you're completely devoted to that particular piece of information, or you're completely devoted towards doing that particular task, and you do it better than any single human on the face of the earth who's doing that particular task at that particular time. So to achieve that flow state, one needs to eliminate all forms of distractions. One needs to adapt, one needs to evolve. Adapting and evolving to a particular situation, to a particular task, or to a particular difficulty is very, very important, because that gives you a lot of learning, that gives you a lot of experience, and that gives you a versatile mindset. A versatile mindset, I repeat, because that is very important. Let us say you're writing your JEE exam, or let us say you're writing your NEET exam, and the paper pattern is unexpected. As we know, NEET 2025, it was a completely unexpected paper. JEE 2025, JEE Advanced 2025 especially, was a completely unexpected paper. They did not expect so many we did not expect so many numerals to come, numericals to come, but you need to adapt and evolve. That is one important aspect. And at the same time, while you're adapting and while you're evolving to that particular situation, with your potential being expanded to that the difficulty or the challenges that you have, you need to also enter optimal experience or flow state during that instance. It is important for you to adapt to that situation and work on it. So I think there are a lot of other things that I can discuss, but the video is already too long, and these are the main things that I learned from Kimetsu no Yaiba, and at the same time which I learned from Ikigai, that could have helped me during my JEE preparation, and that will definitely help you, because I learned from all the hard falls that I had. I didn't know about all these things. I didn't know that you could literally learn things from something like anime or something from like books, where you integrate them into your JEE, or integrate them basically into your life to attain your goals, or to achieve your goals, or to attain yourself to a position where you are able to achieve your goals. So this video might be a bit vague, because this is not the format of the videos which I take. Mine are usually raw, original talks where I don't have a particular script, but today I've had, because I'm trying something new. This is also coming out of my comfort zone. I'm also trying to adapt and evolve and try out different situations and scenarios where I can be comfortable with on YouTube. So you can see I'm also trying to integrate that with my life, or in my life, or not in my life. That's a bad term, that's a bad phrase. So yes, so I hope you got something out of this video, and let us see if you can integrate this. Like and drop a comment if you have found this video useful. So until the next video, this is Project IIT. This is Ashwit signing off. Thank you so much.